Imagine yourself in a rather harrowing situation, a battle between you and the bathroom while wearing what can only be described as a mobile work of architecture. You're trapped inside layers of fabric thick enough to shelter a small family, your waist squeezed into a corset so tight you can barely breathe, and around you, polite society, where a single misstep could make everyone faint. So how on earth do you handle the most basic human need, using the bathroom, while dressed in such complicated and bizarre clothing? And did you know that Victorian women came up with ingenious and sometimes shockingly unexpected solutions? Join me as we uncover one of history's most fascinating secrets that you never would have imagined: how Victorian women managed to maintain their grace and elegance while navigating one of the most complex toilet systems ever invented. Let's take a journey back in time to a world full of surprises, where something as basic as nature's call became a strategic survival challenge. Chapter 1. Introduction to Victorian fashion. When we talk about Victorian fashion, we're not just referring to elegant dresses, we're talking about a mobile architectural masterpiece, where every layer of fabric serves a specific purpose. A Victorian woman didn't just wear a dress, she wore a complex system of clothing that began with a thin linen shift, considered a protective layer between her skin and the expensive outer garments. Next came the corset, one of the defining symbols of the era, tightly laced to the point where many women's lower ribs were permanently reshaped. After the corset came layers of petticoats, sometimes as many as 6 or 7, each one adding volume and shape to the dress. But the real marvel was the crinoline, a steel hoop framework like a cage, connected by fabric tapes that could expand up to 6 feet in diameter. This made simple tasks like sitting down, walking, or even passing through doorways a serious challenge, requiring careful planning and strategy with every movement. With this outfit, Victorian women were not just preparing for social events, they had to be prepared for every unexpected situation in daily life. A dress like this wasn't just clothing. It was a complex system that a woman had to learn how to manage every day, from sitting, walking, and even performing simple tasks like using the bathroom. Chapter 2. Solutions for personal hygiene needs. With such a cumbersome outfit, the first question that comes to mind is, how could Victorian women handle one of the most basic human needs, using the bathroom, without removing their elaborate clothing? And truly, the answer is not simple, but Victorian women developed incredibly creative and clever solutions. In a world where there were no convenient public restrooms, the chamber pot became an essential companion in every household. However, these weren't just simple containers. Victorian chamber pots were specially designed with oval shapes and curved interiors, making them easy to nestle between layers of fabric and petticoats without damaging the outer garments. These chamber pots were also equipped with tight-fitting lids, not just to control odors, but also as a discreet signal to household staff about their owner's status throughout the day. For wealthier families, these chamber pots were often hidden inside elegant furniture. Chairs were designed with secret compartments, decorative cabinets concealed multiple pots, and elaborate wooden commodes cleverly disguised their true purpose. Some of these chamber pots were even kept in private rooms, known only to family members or servants. However, using the chamber pot was no simple task. A Victorian woman couldn't just lift her skirt and use the pot. She had to perform a task that was almost an art form, a perfect blend of technique and skill. Using the pot required precise positioning, careful fabric arrangement, and discreet help from servants. Especially at grand social events, using the chamber pot became even more sophisticated. Retiring rooms, special bathroom lounges at balls or parties, were designed so women could attend to their personal needs without anyone noticing. The maids would assist them in repositioning their garments, placing the pot in the right position, and providing cleaning help afterward. Everything had to be done with such discretion that no one would even realize the woman had stepped away to handle her personal needs. Chapter 3. The development of underwear. If you thought the complexity of Victorian fashion had reached its limit, get ready to discover an even more intriguing detail. Underwear. In a society where every layer of fabric served a purpose and every detail of clothing was meticulously planned, The traditional undergarments we know today didn't exist. In fact, for many years, Victorian women wore nothing beneath their voluminous dresses except for a few thin undergarments, relying on the protection provided by layers of petticoats and the crinoline cage. This really makes you rethink the concept of underwear as we know it. However, this situation changed dramatically when public incidents became too frequent. Imagine a lovely day, and a Victorian lady is walking down the street when a strong gust of wind blows through, lifting her enormous skirt like an umbrella, turning it inside out and exposing everything underneath. Such embarrassing episodes became so common that society finally decided it might be wise to add an extra layer of protection. The solution was revolutionary for its time: split-crotch drawers. These were not the typical undergarments we recognize today. Instead, they were uniquely designed with two separate legs, connected only at the waistband, with strategically placed openings in the middle. This design was pure genius. It provided modesty when needed, but allowed women to handle bathroom needs without having to remove or adjust their underwear. The development of these split-crotch drawers stands as a testament to the ingenuity of Victorian women in finding solutions that maintained elegance while also allowing for practicality and convenience. Chapter 4: Other Hygiene Issues. Not only did Victorian women face challenges in using the chamber pot, but they also had to find solutions for other hygiene issues in a society lacking modern conveniences. One of the biggest challenges they faced was hygiene materials. Toilet paper, as we know it today, was not widely available until the late Victorian era. Instead, women had to use alternative materials, such as old newspapers, catalogue pages, corn cobs, or leaves. In wealthier households, soft linen cloths were the most popular option, as they could be washed and reused, offering more comfort than rougher materials. While linen was favored, maintaining it was no simple task. These cloths had to be carefully washed and stored, and most of this work fell to the household staff. Laundry became a crucial part of daily life, and not every family could wash clothes regularly. In fact, many households only organized large-scale laundry sessions twice a year, during what was called Great Wash Days, when all the clothes and linens in the house were cleaned. Another challenge that Victorian women faced was menstruation. In a society where this topic was considered taboo to discuss openly, women had to use homemade methods to manage it. They used cloth pads, often called homemade sanitary pads, held in place by a fabric belt system known as a tea bandage. These pads were made from soft rags, cotton, or even moss and sheep's wool, natural absorbent materials. Women had to change these pads frequently, anywhere from 12 to 20 times a day, especially on heavy flow days. Changing these pads and maintaining hygiene under such complex conditions was no easy task, especially beneath the heavy skirts and layers that made movement so difficult. Everything had to be done in silence and secrecy, as menstruation was a subject that, even among women, was never openly discussed. Chapter 5: Managing Clothing and Hygiene at Home. Victorian clothing wasn't just about beautiful dresses, it was a complex system that required regular maintenance and care. These intricate garments, with their layers of fabric, elaborate details, and delicate materials, couldn't be washed easily. Laundry in Victorian households was a massive task, and not every family could wash clothes regularly. In fact, many families only organized large-scale laundry sessions twice a year, during special events known as Great Wash Days. These were the days when all the clothes, from elaborate gowns to the undergarments, were washed and cared for. However, laundry couldn't always be done immediately, so maintaining these garments between washings was crucial. Victorian women, therefore, had to use very careful methods to maintain their clothing. Expensive dresses were brushed, aired out, and treated with powders to absorb odors and oils from the body. These garments couldn't be washed frequently because they were fragile, but over time, women developed techniques to keep the dresses in the best condition without needing to wash them too often. As for undergarments, such as chemises and later the split-crotch drawers, these were washed more regularly since they came into direct contact with the body. These layers not only served as protection for the outer garments, but also kept the body clean and dry. Therefore, washing these items became an important and more frequent task, requiring careful attention from household staff. Chapter 6: Public Events and the Influence of Fashion. The complex clothing of Victorian women didn't just affect their personal lives, but it also had a far-reaching impact on how they participated in public events and social gatherings. One of the fascinating aspects of this era is the lack of privacy when it came to basic functions like using the bathroom. In many households, even using a chamber pot was often done in the living room or in front of family members. At public events, this issue became even more complicated. At large parties or balls, women faced a significant challenge when they needed to step away to handle their personal needs, especially when their outfits could weigh dozens of pounds. Leaving a formal event to use the bathroom was nearly impossible. As a result, special retiring rooms for women became an essential part of the social scene. These retiring rooms were not simple spaces as we might imagine today. They were specially designed rooms where women could discreetly and conveniently attend to their personal needs, with assistance from attendants. These attendants didn't just help with adjusting clothing, but also assisted with the chamber pots, ensuring everything went smoothly and quickly so as not to disrupt the event. The development of these retiring rooms and the support from attendants also reflected a shift in how appearance and propriety were viewed in Victorian society. Women were able to maintain their elegance and grace even in the most inconvenient situations, making the act of attending to basic needs an art form and an integral part of social rituals. Chapter 7: Changes over time and the influence of fashion. Although the complex systems of clothing and hygiene for Victorian women became an inseparable part of their society, nothing is permanent and change is inevitable. The difficulties in managing clothing and personal hygiene contributed to significant changes in society, leading to new developments in fashion and women's roles. One of the key factors driving change was the rise of cycling. As women began to participate in more physical activities, especially cycling, they realized that the bulky dresses and heavy layers of fabric could no longer meet their needs for mobility and convenience. This led to fashion designs becoming lighter and easier to move in, creating a breakthrough in style. World War I also played a crucial role in this transformation. As women began taking on jobs that were previously reserved for men, the demand for more practical and comfortable clothing became clearer. The elaborate dresses and heavy layers were gradually replaced with simpler, more functional styles, reflecting the changes in women's roles and societal expectations. From the enormous crinolines to the more compact bustles, women's fashion underwent numerous changes over the decades. Dresses became shorter and less complicated, allowing women to participate in social activities and work with greater flexibility and comfort. Chapter 8: Legacy and lasting influence of Victorian fashion. Looking back at the complex clothing systems of Victorian women, what stands out is that although they may seem cumbersome and inconvenient to us today, they reflect the extraordinary creativity and adaptability of women in a challenging era. These Victorian women didn't just survive these difficulties, they created clever and refined solutions, not only to maintain elegance, but also to address the most basic human needs in a society full of rules and restrictions. Their complex clothing systems have left a lasting legacy in fashion design, influencing how we view convenience and aesthetics in modern fashion. The challenges they faced in moving and using hygiene products set the stage for changes in how clothing was designed and worn, particularly the shift from bulky dresses to modern, more comfortable and flexible styles. Additionally, the development of practical undergarments like split-crotch drawers contributed to changing attitudes toward modesty and convenience in fashion. These innovations reflected the needs of women in a restrictive society, but also had a profound impact on future fashion trends. The influence of Victorian fashion extended beyond fashion itself. Innovations in managing personal hygiene contributed to the development of modern public sanitation systems. Some of the solutions invented during the Victorian era, like the chamber pot and discreet designs, influenced how we build and design sanitary infrastructure today. Ultimately, the legacy of Victorian fashion is not just about glamorous dresses or complex garments. It is the story of resilience, creativity, and adaptability of women in a society where they had to find ways to maintain elegance while facing ongoing challenges. These women, through creativity and innovation, laid the foundation for a future where women could express themselves more freely and comfortably through fashion. Looking back at our journey, From the complex dresses and tightly laced corsets to the ingenious solutions for handling personal hygiene, we can't help but admire the resilience and creativity of Victorian women. They faced challenges that seemed insurmountable, but with intelligence and adaptability, they created solutions that not only helped them maintain beauty and elegance, but also contributed to significant changes in fashion design and public sanitation infrastructure. The legacy left by Victorian women is not just about beautiful dresses, but a story of creativity, innovation, and the ability to rise above difficult circumstances. They proved that sometimes the toughest challenges can drive the greatest changes in society. If you're as impressed by the creativity and resilience of these women as I am, don't forget to hit subscribe so you won't miss out on more fascinating historical stories. Share your thoughts about this exploration in the comments below and let us know where you're watching from. It's truly exciting to connect with friends from around the world. Thank you for joining me on this journey of uncovering these surprising historical secrets. Don't forget to come back for more incredible stories about the past. From ancient beauty secrets to medieval dining habits, together we'll continue exploring the wonders history has to offer. I'll see you in the next video.